IUOC's consciousness can't die in a virtual world, inhabiting one felt so real to it that it completely forgot it was part of this much, much bigger picture. It forgot that as an individuated unit of consciousness, not only was it part of the LCS, but that consciousness itself is the only real thing in existence. This is such an important point. And so this constant fear of losing its life and having only one chance to live, YOLO, that perpetuated its fear and its selfishness. And so it no longer felt like it was an eternal consciousness connected to all of Source, but a lonely, isolated soul in a chaotic and often unpredictable environment. It also had to deal with hunger, sickness, abandonment, and aging. And trust me, I know what aging is about now. As a consciousness in the void, it required nothing. But as it was fully immersed into the data stream of these virtual worlds, it lost itself and identified with the body it was given instead. I hate to break it to you, but the body is not real either. It is part of the data stream and exists as a temporary avatar the IUOC uses to experience the game. To us in the game, when a player dies and the body is extinguished, it seems the same thing happens to consciousness, doesn't it? However, this is an illusion as well, for the consciousness remains perfectly intact. Now, you may never get to communicate with that person who passed away ever again, but their consciousness goes on. It's as if a player removed their headset in our reality and quit playing that virtual reality game. In the game itself, the other characters might see yours disappear from the screen or maybe go inert, but in truth, all the player did was take off his headset and log out of the game. And so our story goes on. As the IUOC entered these virtual worlds, they experienced new events, new circumstances they could have never dreamed of. And they were faced with choices and obstacles that forced them to make life or death decisions. And many decisions also had to be made to choose between love and fear, altruism and selfishness. And this continues to go on. And I'm sure many of you have to make these same choices. Now, the LCS saw this was a good strategy and allowed the IUOC to continue taking on lives in these virtual worlds. But in order to grow, as we said before, complete autonomy had to be given to each IUOC. Otherwise, there'd be no free will and no true evolution. And the evolution of the IUOCs was the evolution of the LCS because they are both made of the same consciousness. Now, initially, there was no telling if the IUOCs could evolve or de-evolve. The LCS really couldn't know that. But after enough data, where many thousands or even millions of lifetimes were lived, the LCS could begin to see a trend. The data, for sure, must have shown a slow upwards progression, as the experiment, if you want to call it that, is still ongoing today. Yeah, that's us.